Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome, of course, to another episode here at Opinionated. I, of course, am your host, Resla. I hope you guys are having a pretty good weekend. It is a Saturday. Yes, we're here on a Saturday, so hopefully you guys are doing good. It's been rather a heat wave that's been happening over here in New York City. But I hope that everything is going on with you guys as well. Hopefully you're enjoying your days. Hopefully you didn't go through a whole bunch of mess like we pretty much had to go through here. We're worried about internet going out. We gonna stay strong. I don't think it's gonna go out. So let's just cross our fingers on that one. But everybody's kind of got their whole thing going on. A couple subjects that I'm gonna cover today. They're not gonna be pretty much being synced. So I'll be covering one thing, another thing. I want to have a conversation about a few things. Believe it or not, things started popping through my mind. So who knows? I might be away from my writer's block. Uh, there are conversations I want to have. There are questions that still formulated in my head, and I haven't really figured out exactly how I want to get by on that just yet. But we will go through it in the meantime and figure out what we can do to come up with possible solutions or at least get the ball rolling on having a particular thought process and how people want to be able to navigate those things together. Of course, as always, I want to, of course, acknowledge everybody who is walking to the building. So the first person I see those in here is Lawrence. Yo, thank you for showing up, being the first one to walk into the building. Of course, we got Trash that walks up in here. So, of course, Lawrence just says hello. You got over here, Trash walked in. He says yo yo, and of course, the lovely Yvette third walking in the building. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for showing up. And of course, other people will be walking in the building later on. Sometimes it's about the whole notification things. I don't know why. I haven't quite figured it out yet. I don't know. I don't think anyone really quite figured it out yet. But YouTube just does its own thing as to who they want to notify, when they want to notify, how they want to notify. Some people get notifications damn near when the show is over. Uh, so we'll find out what's been going on from there. Hopefully you guys are good though. How are you guys doing today? Yvette, I saw you all over at Will's panel today. I was like in and out of the chat, so I couldn't really keep track of a lot of stuff going on. But hopefully it seemed like you were having some fun over there, so that's all good. You said YouTube keeps messing up. Yeah, I don't know why. Like some notifications I will get like when it comes to LA, and then some I won't. And then of course that I have to be very careful because there are people who I'm subscribing to now, but then I'm like literally turning notifications off just so my algorithm doesn't get all messed up. So that's just me though, but I know YouTube has been very well when it comes to some things, but did not do good with other things. Like I said, I've been just fighting the entire week since last week to just get a decent um, feedback. You said it was messy AF. You know, it happens. I know the way it started off with people I didn't even really know or understand, but just listening to it was just like, huh? What? No, I don't quite get it. So, first thing I want to start off with today is to get something out of the way, and that's pretty much talking about, of course, my city of New York. We have some new issues that pretty much have been on the rise. I don't know. Pretty much, you guys probably want to follow up on it because, quite frankly, it's not your state. It's not something you need to worry about. Maybe it might have been some things that may have been covered in some channels that you've been with. Uh, One of the most recent things that we had, well, one of the past things that we had was um, we had a migrant that pretty much got into a whole big thing with two cops, and there was a shooting that took place, and the cops were injured. The migrant was eventually caught, taken in, young guy, whatever, and both cops survived, but they were young, like they were like new on the job. I think one was like 2 years on the job, the other was like 5 years on the job, but they walked away. Yes, there was some injuries and such, but there's that. But there's a new thing that popped up on my feed of late, and let you know that New Yorkers they're not really having it right now. They're not really in the mood of what everything is going on right now. So let's have a look. Let's let me
Brittany went to the
let you
country.
guys know if you hit Let me know if you can hear this.
Illegally and is now facing a slew of charges, including rape and kidnapping. This all dates back to an incident at Casino Park on Thursday when he allegedly forced 2 teens into a wooded area at knife point.
Fox Eye's Michelle Ross is live at Forest Hills. And Michelle, it was actually a group of Good Samaritans who helped lead to his arrest.
So, just starting out, you can already see that the mess is pretty high. We have now a migrant that's been pretty much here for a couple of years or so. And what happened is that he's already SA'd a teenager. Yeah, that's the most recent thing. So now people who are undocumented came in pretty much here illegally. We already knew they were already doing such crimes as stealing from people on electric bikes. Then, like I just told you recently about the actual shootings that took place with 2 police officers. And now in Queens, we got actual sexual assaults that are taking place now.
Natasha, Steve, in true New York fashion, a group of Queens residents came to the rescue for that 13-year-old girl when they found that suspect. Now, the NYPD says 25-year-old Christian Giovanni Engalandi crossed the Texas border illegally in 2021 coming from Ecuador. They also say he's charged with rape and a slew of other charges, and police add a violent is now off the streets.
Christian Giovanni Engalandi is walked out of the Queens Special Victims Squad in Forest Hills. Police say he is the man who raped a 13-year-old girl in Casino Park last week.
Rapist for you guys!
About 3 miles from the crime scene in Corona, residents there recognized him from the neighborhood. They say they all waited for him at this bodega on 108th Street where he often went before attacking him.
Not for nothing, but shout out to Vigilantly Justice. Shout out to that. We need more people to actually step up and start doing things for the city because, quite frankly, the city is not doing a whole lot for us. I am pretty much happy about people who are getting together as an actual community to be able to stomp out the bad weeds that we got going on here instead of always looking for our officials, corrupted or not, or slow to the task or not, or even the police, which really just turned into why weren't you there, pointing fingers rather than just saying, listen, this happened to somebody, this person's going to be scarred, we need to take it into our own hands, let's go get them. I think they did the right thing. I think they handled it the right way, but I'll let you guys hear more about that.
Boom, he comes, we caught him. Spot him, got him.
We just happened to see the suspect and we acted accordingly.
I need to do something because it's just not right, and I got 2 little sisters, I'm about to have a daughter, and that's just not right.
He a rapist!
Here we found that the community was holding our perp. At the time, the community was trying to hold the perpetrator, waiting for the police. He fought with them, and the community still managed to hold on to him until we got there.
Police say tips came in through social media that mentioned his name and Facebook account, which had pictures of the same clothes he wore the day of the crime and had images of his tattoo. While in custody, Engalandi also identified himself in video they showed him.
The perpetrator has made statements after waiving Miranda rights, where he indicated that he has a drug problem, that he found the...
You can say that you have a drug problem all you want. That's not going to help you. That is not going to save you whatsoever. You cannot blame drugs on the fact that you went out there and you sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl. There's actually more details to that, by the way, but I want to know if they're going to mention it.
The knife that he used to threaten the two teens, that this was the first time he had ever done anything like this.
The NYPD says he approached a 13-year-old girl and 13-year-old boy with a knife at around 3 p.m. on Thursday and forced them into the woods of Casino Park. He tied them up, raped the girl, and told them to stay there for 20 minutes before taking off with their cell phones. Angela Soretti says as a woman, hearing the traumatizing story, she was triggered, and her first instinct was to attack.
He was like, let me explain, let me explain. There was nothing to explain because at the end of the day, what is there to explain? He was more so like trying to get forgiveness from us, but it was no forgiveness to be given. Do you understand?
Now, earlier today, the NYPD said that DNA evidence was still being processed. They said that when he had crossed the border in 2021, his fingerprints were taken, so they are waiting to see if they are the right person. And he is charges. Some of those include rape, endangering the welfare of a child, and kidnapping. We're live outside the Queens Special Victims Unit. Michelle Ross, Fox 5 News.
All right, thanks, Michelle.
So think about that. I want you to think about that. This is what we have to deal with because we cannot get a handle on people who are here. Now think about it. This person doesn't have Social Security. This person doesn't really have a job. Now I'll give you a little bit more detail since I looked a little bit more into the case. The guy has been here since 2001. Here's the next thing. They're gonna try to blame it on the fact that he was on drugs or whatever, but has already sexual assaulted this girl. He did it. It was 2 teens. They were basically like, doing kid stuff, exploring, figuring themselves out, whatever. Now it was late at night at a particular park, so I thought that was kind of crazy. But he tied them up with shoelaces, threatened with a knife, and basically sexually assaulted this woman. And I hate to have to keep repeating it, but it's there. Then on top of that, right, this guy came here via Texas, coming from the Texas border, which means he already went through processing coming in here as illegal. Here's another thing. He's got like a child. He's got like a 6-year-old child. He came in basically with a 3-year-old. It's been about 3 years. So yeah, he's got a 6-year-old. And yet goes out of his way to don't have really a job, moving all kind of place all over. Who knows how he's been surviving all this time. And then does this to this poor girl who's going to be traumatized for quite some time. How much more do we need to endure in these actual metropolitan areas, in these cities? How much needs to be endured? We have so many things that are coming up, like the debates coming on, right? Will things like this be mentioned when it comes to particular questions as to what needs to be done when it comes to sanctuary cities? Because quite frankly, you can't get a hold on all that. What are we doing when it comes to actually the border and how we're going to best secure it? Because a big issue that should be coming up and a lot of debates on what we should be looking for in our next leader of the free world is what are we going to be doing with the mass migration issue? Because they're out of hand. And they're out of hand in all major cities. They are. And it just keeps rising. Things just keep getting worse. From squatters to robbings to... And this, keep in mind, this was something that got reported. How many other things could be taking place that are not reported? How many? And we gotta go back to Kathy Hochul. We gotta go back to freaking Eric Adams. Because quite frankly, and I hate to even look at it this way, but you see all other areas getting cut when it comes to budgeting, but the thing that you see come up are police officers. But education getting cut out, sanitation gets cut out, park funding gets cut out. Like, as much as they say they're behind on building infrastructure for housing and such, even that's got cut into. Like, what are we doing here? But police officers are the only thing that can go up. They got a 25% increase. Yep. In fact, I wonder if I could find that right now. Let's see. NYC. What? Huh. You know, if I spell that right. Police. So here's the most recent thing that I saw. Oh yeah, here we go. So as I told you, police already got more funding to expand in NYC and everything else, despite the fact that people are not really even jumping out to become a cop. Just being in the Port Authority. Now keep in mind, there's mess that happens in the Port Authority, but not as much as dealing with the New York City streets. It's literally just the Port Authority terminal. That's all. We're not even talking about trains. We're just talking about buses. We're not talking about planes coming through. We're talking about buses. So just to be a police officer at the New York City the connection between New York City and New Jersey Port Authority, they're making six figures. Now, on the low end, I see 125,000 being a police officer. I see it go almost up to almost 200K. And you need more funding to put more cops on where? Because they're being spent in train stations or whatever, whatnot. And then I say, but you're cutting everywhere else? We're cutting everywhere else. Then you're about to raise pretty much our taxes or whatever case may be, because you're putting in the meter shit for being in the city. Cars are going to be charged for being in the city. And here's the worst part. Let's just say you have these particular neighborhoods and they have peak hours, right? When people can make deliveries and such. Who's going to pay for that in the long run? It's called the city residents. They're going to be paying more for it. Just to get deliveries, they'll be paying extra. It's crazy. It is absolutely insane. And that's exactly the kind of stuff that we're also leading to right now. Instead of coming up with an actual strategy to either figure out what they're going to do with the MTA, keep in mind, they're the ones who are in charge of the buses. They're the ones who are in charge of the trains. And they're also in charge of freaking the streets now, because they got their buses and everything. What are they going to do about it? It's at this point where if they're complaining so much about people who are basically fare jumpers, at this point, you might as well just make the goddamn trains free. That's the way I look at it. If you cut out MTA, maybe you can put the budget into all the other stuff to help fix it up. Because outside of that, the only thing I can really recommend is that we start getting neighborhoods to start getting together, maybe form your own little neighborhood watch or whatever, and we start dishing out some vigilante justice. Seems to be the only way to really be able to keep track of everything that's going on. Of course, there's going to be other issues that you're going to have to deal with when it comes to that, like gangs, because of, quite frankly, they got guns and everything. But there needs to be more done to actually help hold our streets and hold the people in the streets accountable. That's my little thing on that. That's what I want to bring you. That's what I want to bring you my little update when it comes to New York and its own. I wouldn't belabor the point with everything else. The other thing that's on my mind pretty much is, what are we doing when it comes to the future that we have coming up when it comes to our next generations that are coming up? What exactly are we going to do about that? I have been going through so many articles. I have actually seen some TikToks. I saw some reels. I think of the gap between generations that we're basically taking a look at now, right? So you have the boomers who are pretty much on the phase out, but quite frankly, they're the ones who are still getting the benefits of stuff that we already got going on here. Now, what do I mean by that? They're the ones who are coming out, but they have a lot of the budgets. They still got a lot of the real estate. They still got a lot of all this other stuff. And keep in mind, there are a lot of homeless people among boomers as well. So I won't put that against them. Hey, TC, what's going on? Oh, Butterfly, you in here too? What's going on? And Jamal, oh, welcome, Jamal. Yeah, you got a whole bunch of people on the boomer side coming up as well, right? But a big thing that happens, right, is Social Security. When I do a lot of research to take a look at what's happening when it comes to Social Security, a lot of younger people, and I will mainly go to Z and even Alpha coming up, is like they seem to believe that as you work, you're paying into your future retirement, and that needs to be corrected, because apparently they just don't know about it. You're actually paying for those who are actually going to be retiring. Now, in addition to that, employment has changed. The numbers are low. We're no longer replacing the amount of jobs that we have for the people that are actually retiring. So when the time comes for, let's just say, we are in 2024, right? So by the time we're looking at people in 2034, Jesus, in 2034, it'll be 10 years more, and you'll already have those people who are already sitting at a threshold to start thinking about what's going to be happening when it comes to their time to retire. Because if it's already struggling now for people who are already millennials and even the Xers that are still in, and Xers are already at the threshold of getting into retirement. But there's not enough people that's actually replacing the workforce that needs to be held in order to safeguard Social Security. What are we going to do for the future, especially for people like myself who are the millennial when it's our turn to retire? Because Z and Alpha are pretty much doesn't seem like they're going to be in the market to be taking over a lot of jobs. What is the social safety net for people who have been quote looking after the past generations going to do when it's their turn to become that generation transitioning out, and the future generation can't pay for it? What is that going to do about that? And there's multiple reasons for it. But most of all, I think it's a cultural shift. I know it's a cultural shift. There are people who are not having kids. I even saw some things that say that people don't wish to have kids because they think that the world is just so bad now, so horrible the way how the world is that you can't possibly think of bringing a new life. Which also goes into a whole new question about the constant trend that we had throughout all generations. And that question is, which generation is the most selfish generation? Now, I'm not here to give an answer to that. I'm not. But the question has always come up. And the question has always pointed at many fingers. Like, it's like looking at the multiverse Spider-Man, like everybody's kind of pointing at the other Spider-Man. It's like that. And when I think about the people that we have now, whether they're millennials, whether they have been Xers, whether they are Gen Z now, and God forbid even Alpha coming up, the way how parenting is actually done right now is actually insane. Con, what's going on? It's insane right now, which comes to a point where I have to ask myself, these kids are out here now and they're suffering. Now, every kid deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves children. Let me give you some examples of some things like that.
Strangers rushed to help after they found a 9-month-old baby alone in the middle of a street.
Why the baby?
A man in Utica, New York shot this video of the baby laying on her stomach in the road, while concerned people come to check on her. One man picks the child up while another calls the police.
You call 911?
Yeah.
Then a woman can be heard calling for the child.
That's my baby, that's my baby, that's my baby, that's my baby. Oh my God, oh my God.
Utica police say after they were alerted to the video, they arrested the child's mother, Ladrika Ford, for child endangerment. Ford claims she doesn't know how her baby ended up in the street. Cops say the baby was checked out at a hospital, and Child Protective Services have removed Ford's children from her custody. For InsideEdition.com, I'm Mara Montalbano.
Now, we can go a little bit more into that, but for what I come to understand is that the heifer was at the club. I could be wrong. From my understanding, she didn't pay attention. Shorty wasn't around, left the kids alone. But that's just some people that we have who are, quote, just not really fit to be the type of people that we need out here being parents. How did it come to all those people that have to be around to be the actual people to find your baby? What were you doing? What the hell? Like, what on earth were you doing? Now, other people have their own opinions on how they feel about coming up with kids. So in this one here, they want to talk about all the different reasons as to why they think they would or why they wouldn't want to have kids. Let's check it out.
Do you think you'll regret it if you never had kids?
No, I am not sure if I want this environment to my kids.
The idea of being pregnant just does not appeal to me.
If someone else is paying for the kids.
Not to mention easy access to birth control.
People are dying.
My bloodline ends with me.
America has declining birth rates. Why do you think this is happening? Because today there's two schools of thought.
The number of humans on Earth needs to go down, or it will be our downfall.
The planet cannot support more people.
Can our planet even sustain nearly 8 billion now and 10 billion by 2050?
How are we going to feed everybody, get water to everybody, provide power to everybody? How are we going to do this?
Or are we focusing on the wrong problem?
This is the most commonly misunderstood situation. What we face is population collapse.
The size of family shrinks precipitous, like below replacement. There's going to be a terrible shortage of young people.
And so are we headed towards decline and even worse, extinction? So I'm out here today and the question I'm asking is, do you want kids?
I have kids, but if I didn't have a kid, I'd still want a kid. The only way we're gonna survive is to embrace being human. Just because we can do something, it doesn't mean we should.
I already had kids.
Have you always wanted kids when you were growing up?
Yes.
Would you want your kids to have kids?
If it's right for them.
By the time I'm 35, I'll be old enough to kind of start being more mature at that point.
Do you know how many kids you want?
We'll do one adopted, one natural kid, natural birth. The first one I want to adopt to skip the first 5
Like a little trial run?
Yeah, trial run, exactly.
Return it if you don't like it?
100%.
Oh, I don't know. That's a lot of money that I wouldn't be spending on myself.
I don't think I'm equipped to raise a child through all the, that things I.
Do you hear a lot of the reasons why they're actually putting up as to why they don't want to have children? Now, keep in mind, you had a lot of the other people who were like, well, the economy, well, you've got, there might be overpopulation, maybe there's not enough resources. No, there's definitely space. There's space. People just don't want to actually push out and actually develop shit. But there's definitely space, right? But then let's just be honest. From the people that you see, like the lovely young lady over here, right? Spending money on myself. I don't want to take care of another human being because, I won't really have much money for me. By the way, childcare is not cheap. Childcare is very expensive. And I'm not even talking about the longevity of having to raise, if you raise, but to maintain a life form from its still cooking stage all the way till you get to freaking 18. I'm not even talking about that. Just childcare, just for watching your kids and stuff like that. Do you know it's coming up upwards to $20,000 to $25,000? Just for someone to be watching your Rugrats while you go out and try to make money. It's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Again, daycare, education, these are things that have been cut into. Yet we actually have police officers that are making more money than actually who? Educators. Even some people that work in hospital staffs. It's crazy. Then you get these people here who don't even want to help contribute. And here's the thing about it. They all think this one thing. If I don't have kids, right, I'm helping lower the number of people on the planet because we have overpopulation. The issue is that you're not the only person thinking that. In fact, pretty much your whole generation, I'm being facetious, I'm being a little hyperbolic, but a lot of your generation wants to do that, exactly that. Oh, you got no problem fucking. That you don't have a problem doing. But because a lot of you guys are opting out and actually giving birth, think about it this way. Because here's the numbers. We're gonna be at a point where there's gonna be more people in the senior age, at retirement age. There's gonna be more than babies being born. That's very soon. Very, very soon. Like 2053. When pretty much we're us moving into that area, there'll be more of us than there would be new life being put in. Let that stir for a moment. There'll be more older people ready to start transitioning until the latter part, the end of their years, than there are people putting up newborns to start the beginning of their years. Because why? I want to spend money on myself. I hated hearing that excuse because I heard that a lot. It was never, and I get the one where they say, well, maintaining a child is very, very expensive these days. Wholeheartedly agree. Even with 2 incomes. I understand that. I also understand the whole, boomers are holding on to a lot of real estate. There are actually banks that are holding on to a lot of big well, let me not say banks, but companies that are holding on to real estate areas. So therefore, even if you had a child, right, the chances of you actually being able to buy property is slim. So if you wanted to build space to actually have your children, to, you know, to have some space for them, you couldn't, because getting a house is just too damn hard to do. It is I've seen some beautiful houses, cheaper houses, because, well, quite frankly, they're no longer in this, they're not in this country. I was looking at Japan. You can get by on a very beautiful house in Japan at a fraction of what it would cost to just have a really low budget kind of house here. Not even close to the millions. I'm talking about like 100,000. Where are you gonna see here in the country now that you're gonna find a house up to 100,000? You tell me where. In some pristine, you know, conditions, not a fixer-upper. Because I even think your fixer-uppers are not even gonna cost that now. 100,000? What? No. And there are some legit reasons that they give that I can go, yeah, I still think you should probably do it. And again, if you just think you're not a suitable person who wants to be a parent, that's fine. But the idea of saying that I just don't want to have kids because I just want more me time, because also part of the issue why we have the decrease in the birth rates that we have is because why? A lot of you young ladies out there, you're having kids way too late, if you manage to have kids at all. Because, quite frankly, your career takes the front and center area. And then by the time, let's just be honest, you get out of college and you finally start establishing a career. Now you want to work sometime and get in your career. You want to travel and all kind of stuff like that. You don't want to actually have a child to be able to tie you down. So I hear that. And then some people are proud, like the stupid heifer that turned around and said, my bloodline ends with me, with a smile on her face. There is such a thing as you know, population collapse. How far before you get to basically your extinction level event? That's my thoughts, though. Just my thoughts.
I can hardly deal with myself.
I like to go out a lot. I can only take care of one person.
I'm a musician, and so it's really hard for me to even think about caring for others at this time.
Do you eventually want to have kids at some age?
Maybe if someone else is paying for the kids.
But it's your kid.
I need to do some healing before I impart any of those things I've gone through on another little human. It's not that I don't want kids. You know, I'm a 39-year-old woman, and at this point in my life, there's just still work I need to do, and it's just not really maybe in my cards.
Do you feel more free not having kids?
Oh, yeah.
She's 39. She's 39. She's still got a whole lot of work to do. Can't possibly think of having kids right now. She's 39. When? When? Just wondering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can travel whenever I want. I can spend my money all on me.
In my early 20s, I wanted kids really badly, but that was before I started having so much fun.
What's like a typical weekend look like for you?
Like go to a music festival or like an EDM or house show.
Yeah, them kids, right? Do you want kids?
I think it's very selfish. Looking at the world and how it is right now, global warming and all that kind of stuff. I am not sure if I want this environment to my kids.
The climate, you know, like climate change and everything, that has obviously gotten worse over our generation. So the problems we're facing nowadays aren't really the same that people were facing decades ago.
Because for the first time in history, people are questioning if it's even morally okay to have children.
Climate change is a big factor in why she's not having children.
We're not sure that we're going to have kids because we don't want to bring our kids into a world like this.
It is not okay to have children.
The lives of children are going to be very difficult.
And it's impacting everyone. The number of babies.
So, think about this, guys. They're saying basically that they don't want to have children because of climate change, right? Let's just follow that, right? Let's just say they're afraid of having children because of climate change. Climate change would then be happening across the globe, not just here in the US, right? Because everywhere is seeing a dip when it comes to the birth rates. Everywhere is dropping. Not as significant as some other areas like the US, but they are dropping. But again, what do you do to repopulate? If everybody has it in their mind at one single time that they're going to not have kids. We're not even talking about like places that were like China or where they just institute a child, like a child policy or a child incentive, so that therefore they can make sure that they can try to maintain a particular threshold of population. Because that's not something that's going to be implemented here in the US. At least that's not the way I see it happening. Because people won't even opt into that because they're too busy thinking, I want to spend all my money on me and travel. I want to see the world. I can't possibly think of having a kid because I want to go on girls' trips. I want to be a passport bro. And then they get to a particular age and then it's like, well, you did all your traveling. You did all your fuckery. Now what? Now what? You know what they're going to say? Well, I mean, I guess I could have kids, but I'm 39, so I still got a lot of me figuring out. You're 39. The time for you to figure yourself out went out the way. It was long gone. The only excuse that you possibly could have for still figuring yourself out is if you were in a coma for like a decade. Like you lost a decade in a coma. There's no way you're still out here still talking about you're still trying to find yourself. You may still want to find what you want to do, but you should have a good idea of what your likes, what your dislikes are, or rather I should say, what your icks are. You should fairly have a good idea of that. But instead, we have people who are, even now, still in their 40s and so, want to behave like they're in their younger 20s. While we have those who are in their 20s and behaving like life shouldn't continue at all after them. It's crazy.
Babies being born is inching closer and closer to 2.1 per woman, which is the replacement number that prevents the population from shrinking.
For the first time ever, there are more women without children at 30 than there are women with children.
So in short, people ain't having sex. And with some countries already facing the consequences, we must question the social implications of an increasingly isolated society. But is this all legit or just fear-mongering? Is the world even heading towards collapse or overpopulation, or both at the same time? And a matter of fact, do I even see myself starting a family? Like, I deadass still live out of a fucking suitcase. I guess we gon' see. And starting with America. America has declining birth rates. Why do you think this is happening?
In our parents' generation, most people got married younger, with women being caretaker, like cooking, watching your children, like being a stay-at-home mom, like that was your job. Nowadays, it's like women like to work. To be a stay-at-home mom, like you have to have money.
Honestly, everything was cheaper back then. You could get a house for much cheaper. Everything was just more affordable. But also, I feel like a lot of people in this generation are trying to be successful on their own and creating these startups, which you really don't have time to take care of a baby.
The declining of births.
You're being an idiot. If you were being offered a job at working at like JP Morgan and you're sitting there thinking, I don't want to work at JP Morgan because I want to start my own business, you're a freaking idiot. You're an idiot.
Rates is people planning more their lives, their future, and their family life.
Why do you think this is happening to our country?
People are dying. I don't know. I went to dark places. I'm sorry. But I mean, like, I think people are maybe more career focused. Like, people are getting kids when they're older.
People are realizing, like, I have a future to have before I even have a family. I'm saving till I actually finish my goal, and then I'll have kids after that. You know, be able to be financially stable enough to where my family is not suffering.
It's interesting.
So, okay. That's a common thing that I've heard a lot. And don't get me wrong, even I have thought about that personally for myself, right? But I will say the same thing that I said to a lot of people, because it was also said to me. You'll never be prepared. You'll never get your money and everything really together, because there are people who literally saved all their cash up, put all the stuff, they nested up, they did everything, and then getting a kid was just pretty much damn well impossible. And they spend a whole bunch of money even trying to have kids or whatever. And then by the time they didn't have a red cent to themselves, then the little bastard showed up. There's been that. There's been those who have actually have been very successful at being parents while basically having nothing, still building themselves up, still finding themselves and building themselves up, still growing themselves while they have children. Now, I'm not saying that's easy, and of course, it's way better when you have a support system. But that's also the next thing that we should also be talking about. A lot of people don't want to have support systems now. They don't. It's like, you're on your own. Everybody just wants to do things by themselves and just be selfish and just do me. And that's where we're at. Everybody's got a very greedy, listen, Mayo, you said it. A very greedy and self-centered attitude. What do we do about that? Especially because we're talking about people who are mainly saying this are millennials and freaking Z. If we can honestly just get out, look around the world, and if we already see, if we can acknowledge that the numbers are dropping, let's just say the noble thing to make that sacrifice. Nobody's going to do it. And then, of course, if we're already looking at the decline and how it's happening here in this nation, because that's something that's not necessarily talked about. We don't hear that in politics. We don't hear these officials talking about what we're going to do to actually put up the birth rates. So what are we going to be doing in this country? I'm just saying.
Interesting too, because it's not just America, but a lot of developed nations. Do you think then this is a sign of societal decline?
Absolutely, and we should be very alarmed.
Definitely, and good for us. I think some destruction is necessary for.
If someone sees this heifer in the street, please hit her in the face with a brick.
Or like things to grow into new places.
There's a lot of people who just want to go out and have fun, experience their lives. Parents will say, hey, don't have kids at my age. Go out and have fun.
In order to provide a good life to your kids, it's expensive nowadays.
Do you think in America we're prioritizing more about getting the bag rather than building like a strong family unit?
For some people, you got to get the bag first to build a strong family unit. For what some people want for their family, like you got to be making money to have that.
It seems like the cost of having kids is a big factor.
So he says, you gotta build a bag in order to be able to build a strong family unit. Shouldn't it be the other way around though? You gotta build a strong family unit in order to build a bag. Again, where's the community? Where's the village? I thought your family was, quote, your first network. Where do they get these ideas from? Especially when we start looking at the tide of employment.
But hasn't this always been the case even during our parents' generation? Why do you think this is happening where my generation, like Gen Z and millennials, are having kids a lot later in life?
People are preferring to live their own lives, some selfish lives, with no kids, with no problems, with more money to spend for themselves.
I think that you're exposed to a lot more of what's going on.
Having kids means taking away from my freedom. What would you say to that as someone who's been a mother?
Oh, it definitely takes away from your freedom.
So did you ever regret it during that process?
No, I found it difficult at times, and sometimes you would daydream and like wonder like, ooh, what would life be like? But then there's like your kid, man. Like I have massive love for my girls.
So for them it's like being in person, whereas like us, like social media, like Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, we can connect more easily.
Do you think we're more connected though?
I think that maybe just like access to technology has just shown us like how much more there is out there.
And look, it seems paradoxical, but is this infinite access to potential options and technology the direct contributor to our falling birth rates?
When you're single, everyone's always like, hey, get on a dating app.
What's my #1 opening line on Tinder?
With a click of a button, dating apps presents you a pool of potential partners with an algorithm built to keep you addicted to the promise of finding the one.
You got all these dating apps. It's the modern way of doing things, right? And people are afraid to talk to each other in person. Because why? It's creepy. The same way how People have a problem calling each other because why? Why aren't you texting me? That's creepy. We're pulling further and further away from each other to the point where I don't want to see you. I just want to be able to swipe until I think I can get a better match. Then it will be a time where they say, well, I found a good match. You know, I found her or I found him, but I don't want to meet them. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. Can't we just do this over FaceTime? Oh, you're going to do an entire relationship over FaceTime? Oh, cool. There'll be no interaction. Yeah, we get plenty of interaction with each other. We talk. We get on and we do lives with each other, like, talking back and forth. Like, we're gonna be pushing further and further away from each other. And the good example of that comes to my mind is when I think of people who are like in Japan. Japan is a very much of a place that has basically being an isolationist in their culture now, where they set up dividers just so they can be able to eat alone by themselves. Somebody can sit right next to them, but there's no seeing them out of sight, out of mind. Where I'm talking about, like, they pay for food in a restaurant. There are restaurants like that you sit right in front of just this big booth. Then a little slit opens and someone just hands you your menu, and they go ahead and they take a look at what they want. They chalk it down or whatever, chalk off whatever they want. They slip it back in the hole. The food gets done or whatever, and the server gives you your food back. You're basically just watching a whole hand it's a hand exchange. You don't see a person or anything. The door slides back down and you're just sitting there all to yourself. Dividers, so that you can't even possibly talk or even see anyone else. That's the kind of world that we're pushing towards. Guys, you know how my movie night was, right? One of my first ones. We're running into basically Demolition Man. How long before you can't even touch? You can't even touch. Just give me ya. That's your new high five. No cursing, because you know these snowflakes. Oh, man, they're getting that work. They're getting that work. Yes, Easy. That's a great way to put that. It is glory hole dining. Ah, damn, that is a good way of putting it. Glory hole dining. Coming to a country near you. Absolutely correct. But one of the reasons why it seems non-existent is because communication is dead. Conventional communication is dead. Or rather, it's dying. And it's dying among generations. And then here's another thing. We can't even possibly go out and actually speak to people because, quite frankly, people don't know what they want. They want one thing, but they want another thing. You know, girls are saying they want guys to walk up to them, but then guys that walk up, they turn around and then they do all kind of weird whatnot that gets guys in trouble. And then guys don't want to be around anymore. Me Too did a whole lot for our average people to turn around and say, hell no, we won't go. Not to you. That's it. But I want guys to still walk up to me. Listen, y'all got your equality now, don't you? Walk up to guys. If we as men can't walk up to you, you have to come to us. And I can hear some guys, man, that's some bullshit. That's some bozo shit, man. You're not a real man. But fuck you, buddy. If the only way I can guarantee that I don't have a charge is to basically say that she came to me and I had to consent, what's the point? That's pretty much the way it is. Excuse me, can I talk to you? You want to talk to me? Yeah, I just want to know if you can consent to having a conversation with me. Sure, I consent to having a conversation with you. That's the way we're gonna get down. We're gonna lean towards that area. By the way, can you state that we're consenting to have this conversation? What's your name? Veronica. Hey, Veronica. So Veronica's consenting to have a conversation with me. It is Saturday the 22nd. The time is 4:48 p.m. and we're about to have this conversation. Yeah, and then the entire time you're having a conversation with Veronica, you're doing this. Oh, absolutely. Yes, that's funny, Veronica. A date one day? Maybe a date one day. Yeah, sure, Veronica. What kind of date were you thinking about? Oh. Who would have to pay, Veronica? I have to pay? Are you sure? Oh, because I'm the guy? Well, no. There's a bit of equality going on here. And, and I wouldn't want to be, a misogynist. If I paid and, wait, is it all right that I feel like a man and I pay? Oh, you would like me to pay? Okay, cool. Can you consent that I pay for the date? Oh, you do consent. Oh, okay. You know what? I don't know. Because, I don't want you changing your mind, People got icks. You may not like the way I chew, or maybe the way I picked up my fork or whatever, Of course I'm recording you, Veronica. Of course. We all record now, don't we? It's for our safety. It's for everybody's safety. Khan, you said body language. But you're not getting much body language when you're sitting behind a screen. You're not getting a whole lot of body language when you get no one at all. All you get is an avatar and then words. For all I know, people could be spitting game behind someone else's avatar. People don't even want to talk on the phone no more. I remember when iPhone was popping and FaceTime was big and new. I swear I saw almost everybody using FaceTime. I don't see nobody using FaceTime no more. Everybody went right back to regular texting. In fact, they may even do the voice record message because, it's still lazier. But FaceTiming people, I don't see that no more. It became a thing that became popular when the phone started doing it. But then afterwards they said, nah, I really don't want to do that because I really don't want to see people's faces. I'll just go back to texting. And that's the dead honest truth. They don't do it no more. Actually, I want you to do a little memory exercise with yourself. When's the last time you saw somebody really FaceTime? Like, hey, can you call Justin? Oh yeah, sure. And they FaceTime them. Not pick up the phone and just call them, but actually FaceTime them. It's very rare with something that I see now. So what's the whole point and the purpose of it? At this point, the whole point of FaceTime is just proof of life, really. You're really just holding on to your phone for two things. It's one, to be able to film. You're deaf. And your FaceTime is really just to prove if you're in a relationship that you're not cheating, or if you're somewhere where you say you were supposed to be and you're not there. Hey, you're coming to the party? Oh yeah, I'm blocks away. Now they're FaceTiming you to make sure that you're actually blocks away instead of just, you're still sitting at home. It's a verification check. It's nothing. It's not a communication tool. And yet, and still, we got people all over these streets. Doing what? How is the internet for the younger generations really helping them out right now?
I just feel like that she's the one, you know what I'm saying? I FaceTime her a lot. Her personality really matched who I am.
Even with the seemingly equal and never before seen opportunity to find love while taking a shit, the outcomes have been far from equal. What they found with the Tinder economy is that the bottom 80% of men in terms of attractiveness are competing for the bottom 22% of women, and the top 78% of women are competing for the top 20% of men. And so
guys, we already know this. The internet statistics, plenty of studies and surveys have already proven this to be true. At this point, not a damn thing you can do about it. Guys, don't even complain. Don't even complain about it. It is what it is. Don't complain. It just means that if you manage to run into a particular chick, you have to have this in your mind. A, what does she want you for? What does she want you for? Are you suave enough to make sure that she invests in you as a guy? What exactly do you bring that's gonna be something that she's gonna want to pick up on? And then if you think that you're going for something that's high up there, if you like your BBLs and everything like that, just want to let you know, she's not yours. It's just your turn.
For those at the top with options, there's a paradox of choice in dating where people are always searching to avoid committing to one person in fear of losing out on someone even better out there. Whereas for most men, it's a different reality.
Over the last decade, the number of men reporting no sex in the last year has tripled.
Compared to past generations who were getting jobs, having sex, getting married, and then having kids earlier, almost 1/3 of men under 30 today haven't had sex in the last year or haven't had sex at all.
Oh, Jesus Christ, he beat me to it. Here we go with the robots. Here we go, guys. It's the only way to stem the tide now, huh? So, we're gonna pretty much be on a population decline. And then we're gonna have our sex robot companions, right? To help us get by. So, in fact, let's just go ahead and relabel this, right? Let's relabel this because now you gotta buy it. It comes with a receipt. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna get on my app. Do I want authentic vagina or synthetic vagina? Because I'm still saving up money. I don't have enough to buy a Gucci coochie. So, you know, that Louis Vuitton pocket pussy is just, it's not doing it right now. Just that look, no, that's not doing it either. Now you're gonna have to turn around and shop for your companion. And then, since we're already on the decline when it comes to the actual birth rates, right? Who you think is gonna work out what? Hey, ladies who are out there looking for your quote high value man, right? You gonna find that in your sex robot? You gonna find that in your sex robot? Don't you believe that just because you paid a shit ton of money for your sex robot, don't believe they're gonna be cheap. They're not gonna be issuing them out for free. They're gonna be like Rolls Royces. They're gonna be like Bentleys. They never go on sale. It's gonna be expensive. And you know your robot is not gonna be allowed to go to work. You're gonna be taking out loans on your robot. Same thing for you guys. You're gonna be taking out loans on your robot. You're going to be working hard, slaving away every day for your stay-at-home robot. Now, here's the next thing. Let's just ask a wild question. Who is that really going to work well for? Let's just be honest. Like, when we hear a lot of things that are being said on these dating apps, when you think of the things that are being stated on the internet, what exactly are some of these things that these ladies are asking for when it comes to what they want in guys? Is that going to be tantamount to what they find in a robot? And then think about the things that guys be asking for when it comes to these apps, when it comes to what the things that they say on social media. It sounds like the better deal is actually going to go to the guys, not necessarily the ladies. Sorry, you're not gonna find your 6-figure man in your robot. You're just gonna be paying 6 figures for your robot. Going out on your dates and everything, if he can't pay for it, you have to be the one to pay for it, and you're already paying for him. You got monthly payments for him. God forbid, it's probably costing you $500 to $700 a month for your robot Chad. Hey, guaranteed in the way you like it, guaranteed 6 feet. He's 6 foot, guaranteed. You want 6 packs? 6 packs, no problem. Listen, TC, you said good luck with that. It's coming. Look, do you not see? Do you not see? Do you not see? It's coming. They working on balance and everything. Hell, guys, remember I just showed you guys a few streams ago when I just how AI can mimic your voice almost to the T. So just think about it. Think about it this way. For you very sick mofos, I need to construct my robot to be like the toxic guy who did me wrong. I need him to do me wrong, but just not leave me. You're going to be paying 6 figures for an emotional roller coaster so that your robot can basically make you cry at night. Guys, what about you guys who want the robot to make you feel like shit? Because you guys love your toxic relationships. This is what we aiming for? And you know, when this comes out, right, it's not going to be like a solid 6 figure. You know, it's going to be something up there. Paying for the robot is going to be almost like putting down a mortgage for a house. You're going to be paying like a good 300. A good 300 on it. What's good, Nightish? Oh, no. Some people are going to sign up for it. And they're definitely going to sign up for it. And you know what's going to be better than that? The only discount you'll have is going to be like basically going to the bank. Like if you refer a friend, maybe you get like $500 in your account. You get like a discount. You get like a $500 off. You refer them, you get like $500 taken off of your. That's what it's basically going to be like. You gonna sit here trying to refer all your boys. They're like, I ain't got 300K for no sex robot. Yeah, free upgrades. Exactly. They gonna do a two time a year maintenance check. That's exactly what it's gonna be. Hey, I need that maintenance check. Listen, my sex robot, she kind of leans to the side. She's not walking properly. Like, how much is gonna be to replace that? That's a lot of money. Oh, wait. But if I'm able to refer a friend, I can get a free maintenance tune-up. Okay, if I can manage to get him to just sign up for it, right? Just get him into it. He gonna be doing everything to get his friend to sign up for it. Yo. Sex robot, my robot, she's bad. Like, listen, I've been having fun, man. Fuck these real bitches. Fuck them. I get home, my girl, she's just chilling with me. She cook, like she play pity pat with me. Like we be doing everything. Like you sitting there trying to sell it with your friend. He be walking in like, baby, can you go to the refrigerator and get us some beers? Like, okay, goes up there. Yo, why she walking like that? Oh no, I'm teaching how to do a kind of gangster. I like girls who got a little bit of a limp, so I'm teaching. I got her program so she does a little bit of limp. He's like, homeboy, you weird. You like your girls to be disabled, like do a little limp or whatever. You got your robot doing a little limp, that's weird, dude. He's like, yo, I like what I like, man. I like what I like. Yo, you should really invest in one. Yo, you know I got the hookup, right? If I refer you, you get like $500 off or whatever. Like, what? Like he gonna be doing everything to sell his homeboy so he can get that maintenance check because quite frankly, he don't have the money for that. You ain't got the money for that. Don't got it. He's sitting there trying to make payments and shit. Who got that? Who got it? Can you imagine what the electric bill is gonna be like? Too much. It's gonna have like the Tesla cord. It's gonna take up a lot of power. Timu, like, yeah. No. Timu Tammy's gonna be the low budget one. The low budget one. That's the one that basically you spend like, I want to say that you gotta spend like 30 grand on, but like you don't get maintenance. You just gotta do the best. That means easy. That means if you put any serious work, on that robot, if the flesh like start popping off or start breaking and start hanging, the flesh start hanging, you just gonna have you duct tape. You're gonna have to duct tape that shit back into place because there's no replacing that. Or you're gonna have to glue it back on or whatever. You're gonna have to do that. That's the only way. That's the only way. The only thing I would say that might work, might be handy. Oh no, con. You can definitely still get them. Cause you know why? Whether it's men or whether it's women, you're gonna have some people that's just nasty and don't wash it. Unsanitary is unsanitary. They're not gonna wash it. They're gonna be like, well, it's just me. I'm just gonna use it again. Oh, it's just dry and crusted up on it. It's just me. I feel like getting it now. I don't feel like washing it right now. Oh, you think they're gonna pay a whole lot of money for the cleaning materials? They're gonna be lazy with it. Like, it's not like I'm sharing it with my friend. It's just my juices. I'm gonna just slide back in this. Yeah, UTIs, they still on its way. Can't even say shit. Well, how many partners has your person been with? Just me. Oh, you just don't clean, you dirty motherfucker. That's what it's gonna be. Mark my words. Unsanitary people are just unsanitary people. There's no getting around that. They're out there. Listen, if we can still say that in 2024, there are plenty of women that you run up on them and they still have dirty cars, you think that by the time this shit over here is fully fleshed out and everything, that they're going to keep that clean? No. You still have plenty of people today who own vehicles and still don't know how to do maintenance on them. And you want me to believe that they're going to know how to maintain this motherfucker? No. Afraid not. Nope. Timu Tammy will definitely not have a cleaning option. You're going to have to be scrubbing it down with whatever you can find. And like I said, the people who are out there getting the clap, getting all that stuff, it's all on themselves. They're going to be sitting there thinking, when was the last time I cleaned it? When was the last time I cleaned this thing? I don't remember. And they're going to turn around and use it again. They're going to use it again. Yeah, pretty much. It might as well be a bottle wash. You're absolutely right. Should be disposable. Listen, 30K is not disposable. It's not. Do you understand? That's like a solid 30K is like a solid semester at school. You're not gonna be sitting there trying to throw it away. Yeah, no antivirus software, so you gotta be very careful where you plugging them in. And especially if you want them to know some freaking moves, you gonna be going like, because you know those people, right? They're gonna be the risky ones. Like, oh, I want them to know how to do that thing that I saw on that porn website, right? So they're gonna be hooking them up and then going through those really nasty porn websites, you know, the ones that got all the viruses in it, and then that freaking doll is gonna be all messed up. And you know what? Now that you say that, right, Easy? You know what's gonna happen, right? That's gonna be the one that you go out to work, you come back, and your doll's missing. And your doll come back, and you're like, where the fuck were you at? I was in a train. Oh, what train did you take? I took 10 dicks. Wait, what? You know why? Because you downloaded that nasty shit. Now, ask yourself this question. Are you, now that you got your 30K disposable Temu Tammy, who just went through a train of 10 random strangers because you downloaded that shit and she got a fucking a malware virus, nasty virus, because you wanted to go get that nasty gawk 8,000 from this thing, and she went out and she got 10 sloppy, and you know they all shared her, they put it in all hole, and guess what? She came home leaking, and you got to clean all that shit up. Come on, you're not gonna just slide into it. That means you gotta clean up all this random essence. Yep, robots is not gonna be loyal. They're not gonna be loyal. Not with a virus. And you're gonna have to clean up all that random essence. I'm just saying. No, Bukkake Tammy. Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be absolutely nasty. Shorties, when you get your you get your guy and you sitting there and you watching the P Hub and you say, wow, the way he did that, girl. I want my doll to do that. But then you turn around and you go like to the deep web, like the super ultra non-subscription base areas, and then you go to the very deep dungeon of black. Then you come home and you wonder why your doll is missing. Your doll come back and he's got the essence of who knows how many. Just saying. Just saying. Or even worse. Even worse. You got yourself a Pookie robot, so now he's taking down all your friends. Cause you know that night, girl, you girls were having your sleepover or whatever case may be, or you guys were just chilling, whatever, like you had your friends over or whatever, and you had your robot serving you guys up drinks, making sure he poured your wine into your bottle and everything like that. He getting all the info and all what your girlfriends like whenever they come over or whatever. And now you went to that deep dark dungeon to upload the secret ultra black scene that was banned because it might have potentially had viruses. And now your robot sex doll turned into a Pookie and is taking down all your friends. Because you had to be the one to try to upscale your friends, upscale your besties, because you could afford it, heifer, and they couldn't. And now, without your knowledge, you're sharing the goods. This is just the beginning. And then, remember this. When he come home and say, what? I was just out jogging. Why? You don't sweat or anything. Why would you just be out jogging? Well, ladies, when your robot sex robot decides to freaking go down and start slaying whoever, you don't know. Maybe it's your friends, but maybe it's not. It could be the crackhead down the road and everything. Who knows? What you gonna do? You gonna start treating him like one of your real guys? Pull your pants down, let me smell your dick? To your sex robot? We doing that? We gonna do that? I think not. And just like I just told the guys earlier, who gonna have to wash off them essence? So if we got Timu Tammy, we got Timu Tommy. If you want to get the cheap version, it's like 30K versus the 300 high maintenance one that's never on sale. But maybe you can get $50 knocked off if you refer a friend. This is what we got to look forward to. And keep in mind, because I didn't forget all this, while everybody's sitting here and now you got the robots out there basically cheating, you still got a freaking low birth rate. You're still going to be losing, folks. You're still going to be losing. You'll be losing even with the robots. Who going to pay for the extra packages? Who going to pay for the extra package? Will, what's going on? Who's going to pay for those extra packages? You know, the cooking and clean package? That's too much work. Some of you guys could know what it's like to learn how to cook. But instead, you said, I don't want to learn how to cook because I'm going to pour all my money. I'm going to go get a loan from a firm and buy my $300K sex doll, the Ultra Edition, so it can cook, because it comes with a cooking package, but you forget it's subscription based. So that means after them 30 days, you're going to have to pay for it, which means you only get meals for 30 days. So, okay, well, 30 days went by. What else? What could she do? She can't do shit. She can't even make ramen. What's the point? And like I said, there are a lot of people they're just not the cleanliest of people. So what you're gonna do when you already have your sex robots doing all kind of whatnot and your birth rates are tremendously low, people? Who are you gonna be out there backdoor dealing, trying to make sure you can get your upgrades? Who are you gonna go to? Literally, who's your backdoor technician that you're gonna have to come to pay off so they can go over there and give you the proper update? What's that gonna cost you? Not to mention, there's gonna be industry for technicians. They're gonna be technicians, third-party technicians. They're gonna have insurance packages just for like a hand. You got the whole doll, the whole robot you gotta worry about, and you can only have insurance up to one hand. Grilled cheese in the hand job. And you know what? Probably will say, cannot handle fire. That's part of that package, can't handle fire. So unless she's making grilled cheese with a lighter, toasting on each side with a lighter, can't operate stoves. And by the way, since you said grilled cheese in the hand job, you have to ask yourself, if they these dirty dudes that I just finished mentioning earlier, then you already know which hand she's using. The one that had the butter to take care of the freaking grilled cheese. Lubrication. Crazy. All while people are now trying to figure out how to work their robots. The entire planet is gone to shit. And here's the worst part, guys. I didn't even get to the worst part yet. If anyone has ever seen iRobot, it's a wrap. One day it's gonna make sure you can't leave the house. It's gonna be over. There will not be overpowering your robot. Because you know there's gonna be guys out, the weird guys out there that's gonna be like, oh, you know, I like my robot to dominate me. Your robots are gonna be stronger than you are. And the day that they decide they're gonna lock you in is the day you're gonna be looking around your house. You're gonna be trying to get into your safe and everything, and you're gonna realize all your weapons have been placed. All of a sudden, all the knives are dull. Everything. You'll be holding you by the wrist and just telling you to sit down. You can't go nowhere. Maybe. That's possible. Dominate your Debbie. Listen, possible. Oh, and check this out. Check this out. What if it gets absolutely insane, right? What if it starts thinking that it needs to punish you? You know what? You didn't get me those nice little underwears that I wanted. So I took off my pussy and I hid it somewhere. Imagine your own dog's going to be extorting you. I didn't get that new chrome chess piece that you promised me that I was going to get if I gave you that Gok 3000. Gave you the Gok 3000 and you didn't order the check place. You didn't order that chrome chess place that I wanted. And I checked your bank account. You had enough funds. Until I get that chrome chest plate, it's missing. What you gonna do now? Because you promised the chest plate. You gonna dig and see what? You gonna dig into your 401? Man, this bitch. Now I gotta go in my 401. Dig out the money. Because I promised this bitch the freaking chrome chest plate. I just told her, I just really told her I wanted them silver titties. Just saying, guys. Be careful. All at the same time, while people who can't even afford the robot still not going to be doing nothing with each other. So everybody's going to be freaking out there dying. Literally, the haves are not doing anything, and the have-nots are not doing anything. So what are we going to be able to do to say that we need to start populating the planet? Because if this is something that's happening with millennials and Gen Z, who do you think is going to follow afterwards? Alpha. Alpha's going to be like, we're definitely not having kids. If the two previous generations are not having kids, we're definitely not having kids. We're not at all. Look, what's the Thor attachment? What's the Thor 3000 attachment? And it's not even going to be called the Thor 3000 because you know that's going to be like to the limited edition series. It's always going to be the black guys. So they're just going to call it the Black Hammer. That's going to be, in fact, that'll be the actual one will be the Thor 3000 attachment, but the Temu version is going to be called the Black Hammer. That's what it's going to be called. Black Hammer attachment. It doesn't just snap on. You kind of like have to shimmy it into place. It's got to come with clips to actually stay on. It won't just fit properly into the grooves that it needs to. So we're all going to be investing money into what? Into what? And this is just part of the issue. Okay, robots were going to come up. People are still, after everything that's going on with the robots, they're still not going to be interested. And now we're talking about the impact on women.
Do you think people look down on being a mom today? The reason why I asked this is because you even prefaced this saying that you want to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, that's like a bad thing.
To be a stay-at-home mom, like, you have to have money. Unless your one partner is able to pull for the both of you and your family, like, you cannot be a stay-at-home mom.
I think a lot of people like glamorize motherhood, but then I think a lot of people have started dissing people who are mothers or who embrace motherhood. I don't know, I've been seeing like a lot of TikToks of people who, once they have children, it causes like stress in the marriage.
I don't know if you are on TikTok, but there's a whole thing with like the girl with like the list of like reasons why you should not have kids.
And this TikTok list by Unique Thoughts is a compilation of over 350 reasons to never have a child.
More selfish people. And they're fear-mongering. More selfish people. Like, as much as we do have modern science and modern technologies, you know that there's still people out there on TikTok talking about you cannot take the risk in actually having a child because you can still die in childbirth. Like, things like that will scare enough ladies to be like, no. Well, to be honest with you, I when I tend to run into ladies who turn around, they don't want to have children. The truth is that they don't want to ruin their bodies. They think they want to still keep a nice slim figure or whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, you can still do all of that if you just want to maintain yourself. No. Once you have children, that's it. It's over. It's gone. And that's just one reason. Like I said, it's over 100. You only need one. They got over 100.
Compiles TikToks from various accounts and adds them to her list of reasons ranging from baby parasite to uterine trauma. And based on its engagements, the videos have become pretty damn popular. But it does make you think, does it reflect the popular trend nowadays to bash pregnancies and to encourage women to reject motherhood?
I've also seen like a lot of people in like the public space that choose to not have kids, so it's kind of like I have a role model of women who don't want the same outcome of their life that has just been kind of just like a generational thing.
We learn a lot of things nowadays based off like social media, what people will decide to share.
Having children isn't always like the best option for everyone, and I think people are just starting to realize that.
And in developed countries with greater access to education,
they're not learning. They're being indoctrinated. They're being fear-mongered. They're not learning. They're being taught to fear.
And birth control, there tend to be lower fertility and birth rates. And along with it, a shift where women now have the opportunity to prioritize their own careers and goals, unlike in underdeveloped countries where family and children are the traditional focus. And with that, it made me consider another perspective. Do you feel like the societal pressure to have kids is unfair?
I live in the LA bubble where a lot of people are doing similar things to what I'm doing. They're focusing on their career.
I'm curious, like in your immediate circle, how many of them have kids?
Oh, none.
Luckily, like all my family are just like, they know I'm going for my goals and they're not pressuring me, which is great. But I know some people get pressured.
I feel like women are kind of seen as like, that's your job, that's your responsibility. But I think a lot of times people forget that like our responsibility is just to kind of enjoy the life that we're living.
For generations, adult femininity was most correlated with having children, and not having any was putting your individual needs above the country's. Even the Pope recently criticized couples that were having pets over children in response to the declining global birth rates.
E tante coppie non hanno dei figli perché non vogliono, ma hanno due cani, due gatti, si toglie umanità.
And so it's evident that both men and women now have different realities, priorities, and access. But is this what's contributing towards population collapse in many countries like America? Because for some countries, is it already too late?
Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has warned that the declining birth rate is putting the future of the country at risk.
Japan has been facing low birth rates and an aging population for several decades now, where in the past year, the number of deaths in the country has reached twice the number of births.
People have many competing.
Black man, Japan needs you. I am surprised at all the videos that are coming out about Japan basically saying that they're still needed over there and the incentive thing is actually popping up. At first, I didn't even believe it. But I'm actually starting to see more and more videos about it. But I do have a lot of questions still about that. Like, why in particular black men? Like, whatever happened to the white guys that were over there? Why are you not picking your own people? Why specifically ask for foreigners, especially the foreigners who, quite frankly, there's not a whole lot in your country enough to begin with? It's a little suspect. It is. But can't say anything about it. I thought it might have been a little bit of a hoax, but no, it's picking up steam, and even to the point where we're seeing it here in this video.
Getting priorities to weigh children against.
The Prime Minister has even issued a warning that Japan is on the brink of not being able to maintain social functions, and that the country cannot wait any longer to solve problems. And it's not just Japan.
South Korea is facing a population crisis.
Italy's decreasing population is the most pressing issue that needs to be addressed.
Many developed countries are even providing financial incentives for couples to have more children. It's to a point where even China, the world's most populated country, is now experiencing population decline caused by the impact of their one-child policy that was implemented to control overpopulation.
China did have a one-child policy, but about 10 years ago they changed it to a two-child policy. Then a few years ago they changed it to a three-child policy. China's birth rate right now is 40% below replacement.
And with the economic impact that could result if low birth rates continue in these large economies, it becomes apparent why even traditionally isolationist countries like Japan are considering opening up their borders. And so I wanted to ask a Brazilian immigrant in America about immigration. People point to immigration as a solution when societies are having less kids. But do you think that also leads to further societal issues? Do you think that it brings more of a benefit or more of a detriment?
I think it brings both. Once they bring a lot of people from all over the world, they will need to reorganize themselves and respect their own laws and their own culture. But in a certain point, I do believe that immigration could be the problem to solve, and also family planning. It's crazy still that you see a family that is poor having 5 kids.
And so then,
and part of the other things that I pretty much have in my head right now is when I look at the U.S. now, when I think of all of the immigrants that are coming in, because we could say that there's a strong push to just have immigrants basically repopulate the U.S. Think about it. Our culture's not doing it, and we know that they're not gonna have a problem actually putting up kids, especially if it means that putting up kids means they get to stay because their kids become citizens. They start qualifying for a whole bunch of stuff. They don't have to leave. They get to take care of their kids because their kids can't be deported. Kids are U.S. citizens, and they will be repopulating our numbers. There could be a strong push for that. We got a whole bunch. There's a whole big talk about that. And there's a whole bunch of things that we could probably go down that rabbit hole on. But that is a strong possibility as to what the other incentives of having a whole bunch of people for immigration here. But not everybody feels that way about basically everything being doom and gloom. But let's talk about a little bit of what's going on when it comes to people who are like all over social media and how they feel about kids.
Having rich parents often leads to a privileged and entitled life. But what happens when rich kids have to face the harsh reality of life?
Dad, help me! Please help me!
Here are 3 rich kids who were never told no as a child, and their spoiled behavior backfired on them. Starting with Alexandria, who on September 18th, 2022, refused to leave her father's car. The father tried everything, but she simply refused to get out of her father's car.
What do you mean you tried everything? What does that mean? You tried everything when you couldn't get her out your car?
Why isn't she getting out?
I don't know. She's got a lot of problems in life and can't seem to solve them. So I offered to give her a ride, and now...
This is my dad, and I think he's, I don't know exactly what's going on, but he has the key to the car, so I'm just waiting on him to get out of the building. You're waiting on him to what? To get out of the building. to come drive the car. He just parked us here, so I don't know.
Yeah, but you know he doesn't have to drive you anywhere, but it's his car. He doesn't have to take you anywhere if he doesn't want to.
I understand. Well, he already took me here, so I'm in the car. I'd like to, go back to my house whenever he's ready, basically. So I'm just sitting in the car.
Okay, but do you realize that if he doesn't want to take you, you have to get out because it's his car, it's his property?
I don't think so. I think
I'm letting you know.
No.
But that's how that works.
Okay, well, I'm going to be sitting here. So, whenever he's ready.
But he doesn't want to drive. You don't want to drive her home?
No, I do not.
I think he might be having some sort of like early dementia or something, but he is not acting like himself. We were just going to go to Starbucks, and then he said that he had to go, and I can't remember if he said he needed to take a package somewhere.
He had me bring her down here. I got her a couple of gift cards because she doesn't have a job.
He did. He just got me a gift card.
She's supposed to be in a rehab facility, but somehow managed to get kicked out of it and showed up back at the apartment. So I felt sorry for her, my mistake. Gave her more money, gave her more things to do, took her here so she could get food. Not only.
So is this thing that we call unconditional love? Even to the point where you got your kids in rehab and you gave them gift cards and then they left rehab and then you gave them money. Like what the hell is going on here? Now, a lot of people can turn around and look at this situation and then turn around and say, see, this is also another reason why we don't need to have kids. But this had nothing to do with the fact of having kids, in my opinion. This is just bad parenting, which is why I go to the beginning of this whole thing when I said, some people just don't deserve to be parents. I think every kid deserves to be a parent, but not every parent deserves to have kids. This guy happens to be one of them. He is a stark example of someone who just did bad parenting. Because obviously, having money is not enough.
Did she not get food? She refused to get out of the car. And now she refuses to get out of it at all.
I'm just trying to spend the day with him.
Sorry,
or
I know this is crazy.
go out and run errands. We're just trying to run errands.
When the father reiterates that he has no intention of driving her, she waves off his refusal as unusual behavior and quickly diagnoses it as a sign of early dementia. Alexandria, who was unemployed and had gotten gift cards from her father, refused to use the cards and instead chose to remain in the car.
Well, I think there's a misunderstanding. I think something's going on with my dad because he's not acting like himself.
No, he's acting pretty normal to me.
No, I think he's acting like he's got a problem.
Four-door registered to Jacksonville.
Maybe like he has early onset, like dementia, Alzheimer's.
It turns out that Alexandria has an issue with drugs and was supposed to be in rehab, but somehow ended up back at the apartment. The father, full of compassion for his daughter, wanted to create an opportunity for precious father-daughter time. And that's how we got to this standoff. Or should we say, sit-off. As the situation escalated, she started arguing with the police, demanding they should call a judge or simply give a ticket instead. By this time, the police are reaching their limits, and an officer attempts to pull her out of the car. However, Alexandria resists. When the officer left her and tried to talk sense to her again, Alexandria began claiming she was assaulted and threatened to press charges for assault and being held against her will.
I would like to press charges for assault, an assault charge. I just was assaulted. Battery. So I want to press charges for battery.
You don't get that. It's lawful.
I want to press charges.
It's a lawful.
I would like to press charges.
You don't get to.
I'm being held against my will.
Great, get out of the car.
Held?
No, I'm being held against my will. Please leave.
No. So these are the options. You can get out of the car. You can leave on your own accord. You can walk away, or you're going to end up going with us.
Get a judge or something. Like I don't know what else to tell you. Get a judge and a jury and take me to trial. Like, I don't really understand.
So
mail me some papers. I mean, I don't know.
What would you like me to mail you?
Whatever the charges are. Like, let me know.
Well, right now,
are you going to give me a ticket? Why don't you just give me a ticket?
Well, we could give you, but you have to get out of the car. That's the problem. So the main
Or a verbal warning? Be like, hey, please don't sit in people's cars again if they don't want you in them.
So that, we've tried that. We're trying to get you out.
No, you didn't. But anyway, my dad is obviously, like, demented, and he's got, like, an issue that I can't diagnose, right? I don't know what to do.
Nevertheless, the officer soon ran out of patience, pulled her out of the car, and escorted her to the police car. At this point, it dawns on Alexandria that she is actually being arrested, and in a moment of panic, she calls out to her father for help. This is ironic, considering that she is now asking for the help of the person whose expert diagnosis earlier determined that he is at the onset of dementia.
Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to get forcefully taken out of the car, and I don't want to do that.
Whatever.
Because I don't want us to get hurt, and I don't want you to get hurt. So I really would like you to get out of the car so that we don't have to force you to get out of the car, or that force doesn't have to be used.
Defiance.
That's your choice?
Defiance.
So you understand the risk that you're taking with this, right? Okay. That's...
No. You're insulting me. What are you doing? No, I'm not going to. Why?
Put your hands behind your back.
No.
You're under arrest.
No.
You're going to be placed
I'm not under
arrest.
arrest.
You
I'm
are.
under cardiac arrest. No.
You're placed under arrest for trespassing and resisting.
You can't do that.
We can.
No, you're not going to. You're not going to.
Okay.
Stop. Stop.
I wish we didn't have to.
Stop.
I wish we didn't have
Stop.
to. We tried to work it out with you.
Stop.
For whatever reason you decided
Stop.
not to.
Stop policing me.
Bye, Alex.
I'm sorry that this is the way that it had to go.
This is not the law. This isn't lawful. Right. I'm not resisting. No, stop searching me. Stop touching me. I have to search you. You're molesting me. You're sexually assaulting me.
Stop.
You are sexually assaulting me. No.
Not.
Yes, she is. Dad, help me.
Defiant.
Please help me. Please help me.
Stop.
Get off me.
Stop.
Stop. She's losing shit.
Resisting. Now you're getting a felony. You
have violated the
Get off me. Stop touching me.
But Alexandria isn't done. When the officers try to search her, she screams at the officers not to touch her, and when that doesn't work, she accuses the officers of sexually assaulting her. But even the false accusations didn't help, as the police tried to put her inside their vehicle. She was willing to try everything, from fighting to raising accusations so that she could be released. If only she thought about that earlier. Eventually, the officers uncuffed her and managed to put her into their vehicle, but not before she fought them and attempted to kick the officers.
Do you guys have like some sort of commercial health insurance?
Do not fight us, okay?
What are you so scared of? I don't want to get back my guns. I want them. Why don't I get to keep them? No, don't touch me. See? You're touching me again. Stop it. Open the door for me. Stop touching me. I don't want to. No, what are you doing now?
To the ground.
No, same thing you were doing before. You're just going back and forth. Okay? You're under arrest. Miranda rights. Miranda rights? No. If you resist,
you are resisting.
I'm resisting.
Yes, you are. So stop. You've already got battery on LEO. Stop.
On a Leo?
Yes.
On an August birthday? On a Leo? No. Get off me. No. I don't want to be handcuffed. I don't want to be tied down. Stop it.
Nobody really does want that.
You're constricting me. I can't breathe. You're constricting me. You're not doing anything. You're hurting me. You are physically hurting me right now. My chest hurts, my head hurts, my hands hurt, my wrist hurts. I know it hurts. And my shoulder blades, and my shoulders, and my back. Which is where all my organs are, by the way, so thank you. You would just cooperate. You're not cooperating. You are not cooperative. We are not a co-op. We are not a co-op. We are not a corporation. We are not a co-op. You're not a cop. You're a robber. You're stealing me. You're kidnapping me. You're abducting me. Ow, you're hurting me. Ow, no, stop doing it.
Have a seat.
In the car without us without fighting us.
Sit back. Sit back.
You just sit down. None of this would happen.
Drag her in. There you go.
You're creepy as you creeper.
She tried to bite you, by the way.
I know. Pervert, get me out of here.
Labeled them a creeper, called them a pervert the moment they touched their hair. Ooh, that hair. Oh, do you not notice how special that hair is, apparently? Oh my goodness. What, like, and because the police had to deal with this, like, I get that the father called, but he needs to get fined. He needs to get fined for bad parenting. Oh my goodness, this is so terrible. And this is the problem that we have in people like this. Like, what do you, the fact that we got that way. She's not lying. Like the fact that we even let people get this way. And again, that can only be here in the first world. These are first world situations. First world situations that we're looking at here. Not every person who has children deserves to be a parent. And this was a long time ago. Somebody should look at this and said, you're not doing this right. Apparently, you never whooped her ass. Might have been needed. Oh no, we don't hit kids. It's not necessary. It's like some kids don't need to get hit. Some needs to know what it's like to have to be in a fight with somebody. I think this young lady needed some of that. She needed some act right.
Get me out of here! Get me out! Let me out!
It's not happening, so.
Open the door! Open the door!
No, it's not.
Can I go?
It is not the Hamptons.
Bring me to the hospital right now. I can't breathe. I'm too hot. I can't breathe. I'm gonna have a seizure.
I just turned the AC up for you, okay? You gotta give it a second. I just turned off the AC. You'll be able to get some air in a couple seconds, okay? I don't know what that means.
Take me to the hospital. Take me to the ER. To the ED. Take me for medical clearance.
You'll get medical clearance at the jail.
No, they don't medically clear you.
Oh, they do.
No, they don't.
Absolutely.
No, they do not. They do an intake form. That's not the same. I need a physical exam. Who's the elected person in this jurisdiction? Take me to them. I don't even know that this is your jurisdiction. I don't know who you are. You're kidnapping me. Give me a ride. Give me a ride home. Turn the car around.
Ultimately, Alexandria was taken to jail, where she will face charges for trespassing and resisting arrest. While Alexandria doesn't care for the word no, our next rich kid doesn't even have the word no in her dictionary. On February 21st, 2022, in Florida, police received a call regarding a suspected drunk driver. An eyewitness reported a concerning incident involving a Tesla, mentioning a near collision with a palm tree. The driver proceeded to reverse, causing tires to screech and posing a threat to pedestrians nearby before hastily driving off. Subsequently, a be-on-the-lookout alert was issued for their identified vehicle. Shortly after, a deputy spotted the Tesla parked by the roadside. As the deputy tried to approach the car, the driver accelerated and fled the scene.
5111, I'm in pursuit again. We're taking a left or right on Jamaican Street.
You know, one of these days, I want to see some coordination where it doesn't even get that far. They just break out the spikes just ahead of time. No matter whether you go to the left down that block or down that block, we got the spikes hooked up for you. And just cast some tires. I would like to just see that one time for these people. Because the way I see too many of these damn cops get pulled off on, it's ridiculous. Turn off the freaking... Why is it we're not even hearing a lot of cops say, turn off the car? Probably don't have to give me the keys, but I need you to turn off the car. Instead of these dudes are able to just pull off and just start driving off.
Taking a left on North Bahama Drive. We're stopped again. Turn off the vehicle! Sheriff's office!
Now I turn off the vehicle. Oh, what is he doing?
Stop me over. Oh my God, Dad! They're arresting me! What the hell, dude? What are you doing?
Don't fucking resist.
What are you doing, dude? You didn't even know me. Dad, they're arresting me!
Stop resisting!
Dad! Dad!
doing?
Why are you doing this?
One detained.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
Eventually, the police caught up with her and arrested her. Despite DUI, running a red light, and resisting the police, this rich kid feels she is in the right to make demands. She repeatedly requested to speak with her father and refused to cooperate with the authorities. The police attempted to conduct field sobriety exercises to determine if she was driving under the influence. Throughout their interaction, her behavior appeared erratic, and she continued to demand contact with her father, even though she was an adult.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
We have an RP that said she was intoxicated. I find her parked right here. I put my spotlight trying to walk up to her. She sees me.
Did you think it's us? No.
Takes off. I throw my lights and she's going like 60, swerving, running stop signs. And then she gets out of the vehicle. I have her taser point. I'm telling her, like, just stay there. She gets out, and then she runs back in the vehicle, rolls up the window, and then takes off flying even faster, like 80 miles an hour.
Who are you?
He's the police.
I didn't know that.
I only told you 10 times.
He didn't sign.
She didn't know he was the police. The flashing lights and the sirens wasn't enough. Oh yeah, no, I didn't know he was the cops. I was wondering who was chasing me. Jesus Christ.
Did you see this?
He didn't do that.
Did you see this?
No.
Oh no, because I could hear his sirens on the radio.
He didn't do that. Okay. If I saw that, I would have acted different.
Yeah, we did.
I know, that's where it was.
Oh, you are not doing this.
Ryan, let's go.
You're lucky I didn't tase you, I swear.
Lean against the car.
Who are you guys? What are you doing to me? Why? Why? Why
What do you want to do? And what do you need me to do?
We got fleeing and eluding, reckless driving. I want to do a DUI investigation.
This rich kid continued asking to speak to her father, refusing to take sobriety tests, and arguing with the officers. She thinks her father can make her charges disappear with a wave of a hand.
No.
She even went as far as trying to fight the officers.
Who is this guy?
I don't know. That's my dad.
Okay, well, he's got to go.
What's he gonna do?
No, he doesn't.
Yes, sir. Yes, you want to?
Dad!
Ma'am.
Dad! Dad! I've been living on this island for 3 years. Why do you do this to me now? I don't get it.
Code 5. Ma'am.
Can you just talk to my dad? Don't talk to me.
No.
I'm here. I'm here.
Code 5. Ma'am, the amount of lives that you just put at risk is ridiculous. Okay? I have no sympathy for you right now. You could have easily killed someone. There are little kids that live in this neighborhood. The fact that you would run from me and
Walk up on him like that again.
You do not know how lucky you are you didn't kill someone.
That's how you got your empathy, right?
Alright, I don't know if we can do it, but she's resisting.
Yeah, no.
Dad!
Debbie, she's resisting. I don't want to take her out of handcuffs.
Dad, they have no reason. Dad!
Alright, yeah, we're not going to do him. Is she patted down?
I don't
know. Up.
Can I talk to him?
Nope, never going in the car.
Honestly, yeah.
Get in.
All of a sudden, this kid in the stone face.
I don't know.
Get in! Get in!
Yep, there he is. Alright. You know the routine.
Dad! Dad!
We got resisting and violence.
Listen,
You want to let him come back yet? You have a hobble?
You didn't tell me why you're bringing me in the car.
Because you were going to jail.
Why?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Why?
Get the hobble.
Why am I going to jail? No!
Eventually, her dad came, but to her disappointment, he didn't wave the charges away with wads of cash. Instead, he asked her to obey the police. Only then did it dawn on her that she might be in trouble. So she began to argue legalities with the officers. The officers explained the seriousness of her actions, emphasizing that her reckless behavior put lives at risk. But for this rich kid, as long as no life was actually harmed, then it's all good. Her argument seems to be that she shouldn't be arrested when she hasn't hurt anyone yet.
You could have killed yourself, others, and me.
But I didn't. So what are you
Thank
talking
God
about?
you didn't. Thank God.
Right. You're just being... I'm gonna ask you one more time, why am I here?
You're going to jail.
For what?
Reckless driving, DUI, fleeing and looting, resisting an officer.
DUI on what? And reckless driving on what?
You reckless driving because the speeds you were going and running stop signs, you could have easily killed someone. You had no regard for other people's lives.
Alright, DUI. You want to charge me of a DUI, but you have nothing.
Really? We're gonna let you get a breathalyzer right now. You gonna pass?
Right. You're gonna check that now. But why you say that before?
Because you're drunk.
No, I'm not, homie. This is me.
Eventually, she was charged with DUI, reckless driving, resisting an officer with violence, and fleeing from an officer. She'll have enough time to think about the consequences of her actions.
Oh, I hope she gets to sleep in one of those cells. Nice and dirty. Just waiting for her to just lay herself down on that piss-infected freaking cot. Oh, absolutely. Give her a taste of that for the night.
In jail. Just when you thought you have seen it all with the rich kids, though, this 18-year-old takes the cake. What started as a regular water patrolling day in Escambia County for officers Ellie Birkin and Christopher Lugg from Florida Fish and Wildlife took a strange turn when the operator of a pontoon vessel traveling under a bridge flipped them off. This gesture offended the officers, prompting them to chase down the pontoon vessel. Admittedly, flipping off the cops is not a crime and could as well be covered by his freedom of speech, but you better not be making offensive gestures while actively committing a crime.
Put it in neutral.
You gotta rub my face in it. Right in the cot.
What was that about? What was that about? Flipping us off. You're not in neutral. Put it in neutral. Put it in neutral. Here's your DUI. Just put it in neutral. I'll tell you what, man. If you bring attention to yourself, we'll come figure out what's up. That's all.
There you go.
Don't grab the boat. Just sit down. Whose boat is this?
It's Freedom Boat Club, but I work for them.
Okay, you work for him? All right. I don't want anybody grabbing life jackets or anything else I'm asking for. I want him to do it. All right?
Yes, sir. Life jackets, where you want them? All life jackets are on the back.
All right, listen to me. I need 9 life jackets, your registration, a throwable, and a fire extinguisher.
All right, throwable.
Officers conducted a safety inspection on a boat, checking for required safety gear. They found alcohol and discovered that all passengers were below 21 and therefore underage. The operator underwent sobriety tests and was arrested for boating under the influence. The officer then used the situation to educate the teenagers about the seriousness of underage drinking and reckless behavior on water, emphasizing the risks and legal consequences. He stressed the need for responsibility on a boat, especially considering potential distractions while steering and the danger it poses to all on board and nearby.
So I know that's one. Do you have enough jackets for everybody on the boat?
I have 13 life jackets.
Where's the rest of them?
DUI.
Okay. Yeah, well, I know there's only 3 in there, so. We'll get to that second part in a sec. Do we need to get up? Nah, just let him get the life jackets. If there's some under the seat, let him get them. You can get up for that.
Okay, who's gonna be the one that actually
life jackets?
Yeah, bro, so we do want to, I'm not going to make you take them out if I can count them, but 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 7. I know we got 1. Oh, we don't have plenty inside C7, though. I'm not being picky. It's just I can't see through stuff. That's 3, 4, 5, 6. That's good. That's good. That's good. There we go. You want to get him on the boat? Look at his bed. Or you want me to get on their bed? Here, you look up too. All right, would you be comfortable? That'll work. Just, all right. Be careful, traveling with right up here. Do it in the back. Here, let go, bud. I'm gonna break away for just a sec because I don't have to worry about bumping y'all, okay?
In the end, the officer drove the passengers to the shore. He talked to the teenagers about abiding by the law. Since underage drinking is just a misdemeanor, he let them off the hook.
This is y'all's boat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is where it's supposed to be, correct? The switch is off, or the key's off, key's still in it. I think you're good, okay? He's getting arrested for boating under the influence, so.
Okay.
All right. I don't know if he has anything else or duties he needs to do today, but he's not going to be coming back today, so. All right. Do you have any questions or anything?
No.
Do you guys both just work there, just you two?
Yes.
Okay, 10-4. Realize, I know you did what you did. You may think that's why we turned around. Definitely grabbed our attention, but you stepped up from the steering wheel, walked to the center of the boat while underway in the middle of a bridge when our boat, which is a bigger boat, has a bigger boat weight, right? And sat there and did whatever you did. Nobody's driving the boat. You know, if that wake hits, if somebody's coming, you're coming around a corner where there's blind corners both directions where dummies never stop. So all that stuff's going on while you're.
Oh yeah, no, I understand. I'm boating. I'm good on. I didn't stand away from the boat at all. I had control of the boat at all times.
You stood in the middle of the boat and held two fingers up. How did you have control of the boat?
I only stood one of them. But no, I had a hand on the wheel at all times.
Brother.
Yes, sir.
You had two hands high in the air, because I promise you, I was like, I waved back thinking you were waving at us, and then I was like, I guess there's something more to that. So
For the flipper who was boating under the influence, the officer stressed how such behavior endangers everyone on the boat, especially in the middle of a bridge with potential hazards. Hopefully, he learns his lesson after a few nights in jail. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more engaging content. Share your thoughts on the
That's the lightest one for all of them. So, of course, now, like I said, you got parents who basically don't deserve to be parents. Like, he said he got it from the place that he worked at, which if he's under influence, I don't know much about boating, so I don't know what would be the age. Is it like 18 then you can operate a boat? Like, I mean, they were by themselves. They were all under 21. So I don't know what the actual age limit for doing a boat. I imagine it's kind of the same thing as being in a car, but like I said, don't quote me on that because I really do not know. Now this is something I wanted to take a look at because I started seeing like the first two little clips of this, and then I was like, okay. Now we have people that basically they've been going back and forth for whether they actually think if it's worth it to actually have kids.
I really need someone to tell me if having kids is worth it. I'm 30 years old. I've been married for 6 years. I think my partner would be an amazing dad. And I've been waiting for this moment of clarity to hit me for the last like 4 years, and it's just not happening. When I think of myself with a kid today, I'm terrified. But when I think of myself in 20 years, I see myself with a family. How am I supposed to bridge those?
You see, at least she's thinking so far to say, right now she doesn't really think she wants to look at it, but she can at least, see the future and basically says that this is something that she's looking forward to. You didn't hear that in the videos that we were seeing before, and it was just all about, I want to spend money, I want to trip. It sounds like it's crazy if I turn around and want to do all this with those kids. No, I'm gonna be tied down. Me. She's been with her guy for like 6 years. She's a relatively attractive woman, and she's just like, I don't really know if I want to do that now. But when she starts thinking about herself in her later years, she can only vision herself with basically building a strong family. So, I mean, she's got decisions to make.
Those two people. So please, is the loss of sleep, is the loss of identity, giving up your body, like, is it worth it?
There is no shortage of opinions when it comes to parenting online, but today I wanted to answer the question in the best way that I know how, and that question is, should you have kids? The reality of this question is that nobody can answer it for you because they aren't you. When you are in the online world, it is extremely frowned upon to say anything negative about being a parent because it almost shows as a reflection of your love or disdain for your child, as if that has anything to do with it. Really, online, I feel that people do sugarcoat a lot of what it looks like to be a parent. You'll definitely see people complaining about it. You'll definitely see the memes, you see the jokes. And at first, before I had kids, I was like, dude, enough. Shut up. We get it. You're tired. But then the reality of parenting comes in, and you just realize this is not something that until you experience it, you can quite understand the gravity of what that feels like. And so I think a lot of people have the question of like, should I have kids? Do I do it or not? I feel like I can't get a straight answer. What is it like to be a parent? I had these questions myself. I always saw people say parenting is hard, parenting is hard. And I was like, what does that mean though? Like what about it is hard? I couldn't understand. You can only compare hard to the hardest thing that you've ever experienced, and that differs for everyone. Maybe somebody has lived a life of extreme difficulty. Maybe somebody's had a relatively easy go. Maybe somebody grew up in a family with 15 brothers and sisters, and then maybe somebody grew up as an only child. You only have the frame of reference to what you have. So I want to talk to you today as a mother. I dealt with infertility for years, was told that I was never going to be able to have children. So I gave up. And in that giving up, I came to an acceptance of I'm never going to get to be a mom, so I need to figure out what my life will look like without children. And so I had mapped out my life. I was really excited for it. I was really looking forward to having a bunch of cats, having a bunch of animals, growing my farm.
And listen, she was battling trying to have a kid. She was battling to have it, and yet she wound up managing to have children. So I mean, if that was something she really wanted to go for, then absolutely kudos to her for being able to have that. But there's this thing that we hear because, and we hear from guys too. I need to have this kind of money. I need to make sure I have this kind of house. Blah 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 blah. I need to have everything set before we can have children. And it's the same thing with what she's saying right now. I need to have my life mapped out. When the truth of the matter is that most children born in the world are oops babies. I know, probably people don't want to hear it that way. Most children that I tend to, when I hear people, when I talk to people, when they tell me about whatever, when they talked about their parents or whatever, it's just like we were doing our thing and wow, here you are, you're here. It was never like we really planned it out. I noticed the people who really are planning out kids are the ones that are like really older. The younger ones is things that really happen. And to be honest with you, that's outside of the fact of how it was way back when you wanted to, like, when people got married really early and rather young. That's typically what you would see from the younger women now. It's like if they did their thing and basically they wound up having a kid. The older people are the ones I know that they're the ones who are now saying that they're actually planning out their kids. But let's be honest, the older they're getting, the chances of them actually having kids is also pretty slim itself. But this is something that's also the risk of that big gap in age between your early 20s, or if you want to say beforehand, all the way to say your 30s or even your 40s.
My homestead, building our house, doing interior design, traveling. Shockingly, after 15 years of infertility, I found myself pregnant. Spoiler alert, if you're new here, it kicked my ass. The reality is when I say it kicked my ass, it changed every facet of my being. And now this is such a polarizing topic because anytime that you talk about something like this, people say, motherhood doesn't have to change you, parenthood doesn't have to, let it adapt with you. Okay, I hear the words, I understand the sentiment, but have you ever met a kid? Who am I? I'm just a mom of an almost 3-year-old who dealt with infertility and has gone through the ringer since becoming a mom, because the reality of parenthood is, in so many ways, it is a lot of what I thought it was going to be. And in so many ways, there is no preparing you. And so I want to talk to you guys about that today. Before we do, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, which is HelloFresh. If you don't know who HelloFresh is, they're a meal delivery service. They deliver meals directly to your door each week. And in each box are the realities of what it looks like to be a parent and why it is so disagreed upon.
My daughter is 18, so we've made it through childhood. In my experience, motherhood has provided me with the highest of highs and the lowest of fucking lows. You give every ounce of yourself and sometimes receive the biggest blessings, and other times you're fucking invisible. You will bear such weight of responsibility, but there will come a day when you gotta hand over some of that and let them be responsible for big decisions, and it feels like I just want to take it off your hands. Let me do it. Oh my gosh, I had no time and space to myself. But then when they get older and become more individual, I do anything to have her all up in my space again. There are so many moments when you're so fucking proud, and other times when they embarrass the shit out of you. Is it worth it? My daughter deserves the fucking world, and it is unbearable pain when I cannot deliver. Oh my gosh, and when they experience their own heartbreak and you can't take it away? Motherhood showed me what it truly is to hurt on someone else's behalf. It feels helpless at times, and other times is heaven just wrapped around their little finger. There's no place I'd rather be. The way you look at yourself, the world, your parents, your own childhood, your own moral compass, the world, it changes in a way that I've only been changed because of my child. There are no breaks, because if you do have a moment for a break or a vacation, they occupy the most precious parts of your brain and your heart, and it's exhausting. But somehow, some way, for the love of that kiddo, you will summon unimaginable strength. You will use every ounce of energy to do both the expected and unexpected. It's the coziest bond I've ever had with someone, the most disruptive relationship ever. But is it worth it? For me, I have one child and I am done. She is worth it. The thought of more children, not worth it. You can take that answer however you want, but no one's experience will be sufficient enough to prepare you for your own decision. You just have to follow your own heart.
So when you
Damn, she made it seem very very poetic. She made it seem very, very poetic. I can see somebody who hears that from her as a mother and just have a romantic notion of having kids. Like she, honestly, I don't really hear a lot of, I want to say, parents really express having children the way that she did. You know, I hear like, no, that you're up at night, such and such and such, what the case may be, but it's still a great thing. But she gave so much detail, like it really did like kind of romanticize the idea of having children. I never heard it expressed in the way that she did. And it's interesting versus all the people that we were hearing earlier that was just they had over 100 reasons why not to have kids, and then her TikTok, her small amount of time that she had on TikTok, I mean, she made it seem like one of the most rewarding experiences in the world. At the same time, she said, not doing that shit again. So
first announce that you are having a child, you always get a lot of really excited people. You inevitably will start hearing the things come through of like, oh, get your sleep now, you're never gonna sleep again. It does not matter what somebody says to you, what I say to you, what your mom says, what somebody else wants to let you know in the grocery store. Your child will be unique to you. That doesn't mean your child will be what you hope your child will be. I don't know how to stress this in any other way than to say, children are born with their own temperament. You can be the most chill, calm, relaxed person in the world, introverted and like highly overstimulated. Your baby could come out an overstimulating, loud, noisy, chaotic whirlwind. It's not like your temperament just transfers to your child. Children are born with their own temperament. And I think the quicker we realize this, and the sooner we realize that that's what changes the idea of motherhood, the sooner we will all be better off for it. Because children have their own temperament, it may not match yours. You need to know that the child...
I mean, well, that should be a given, but at the same time, we have heard and we have actually seen plenty of parents who turn around and they think that somehow because their kids come from them, that their kids are basically mini versions of them. There are things that kids pick up because of actually parenting, instilled values, things like that, you know, cultural things that happen within the household, but they are their own people. And there are even, and I think really that becomes the big disconnect when you have people who are like essentially living vicariously through their children. That's the way how I see that. What is that? Yeah, living vicariously through their children. And I'm just like, don't do that. But there are plenty of parents that do it. You know, I didn't become a ballerina, so she needs to become a ballerina. I didn't become, the football, the football. I wasn't on the football team. I didn't become an athlete, so I'm gonna push my kid to become an athlete. And it's just like they're not there to make up your failures. Like they're gonna make their own failures. They're gonna make their own successes. So I do understand that, but as much as we say like like that should be a given that they're own people, I have heard the inverse a lot as well.
you might have might be somebody that is a little bit directly conflicting with the type of person that you are, and it takes a lot of adjustment. There is a time after you have a child called matrescence, which is the time after your child is born where
she's not really leaning into anything I'm really looking for. Like, I was hoping that there'll be more. Like, I'm not really looking to her to try to explain her idea of childbirth, or rather having a kid. I did have a question that pops into my head. Let me see if I can remember exactly the way I phrased it. It kind of going to all this because we were jumping into this whole thing about whether people want to actually have kids or not, right? And then also, how does that look for us as people who want to make sure that the world, or rather the human race, goes in the popular direction that it needs to go into, while we can easily see that places like Korea, China, Japan, the US is falling, Canada is falling, there are areas in South America that's falling, there are areas in Europe that are falling. Everywhere seems to be having a dip when it comes to birth rates and being able to repopulate particular industries, or rather, I said industries, but rather to populate the world so that we can actually have particular industries still function in the workforce. But then there is a question that I need to ask, and I need for you guys to really dig deep and let me know what you think about this, right? And that is, when I look at like boomers, right? Because they're, like I said, they're on the last leg transitioning out, right? And we have this employment issue that we have on the books right now, which just seem to be going away. And people like myself, let's just say when I get to retirement age, pretty much because of the way how the workforce is turning into and the way how technology is changing once again, and we may not even have the numbers to be able to adequately fill in roles and positions unless we see a big shift in more heavy labor jobs outside of working in a field and such, since we know that's going to technology as well. The question that's in my mind is, are our elderly living too long? Crazy question. I want that to sit for a moment. When I think of how we basically got to the point that we are now, right? And I was sitting there when I asked this question to myself. I was sitting there thinking about all the things that got us pretty much to the point we are now. When I think of all of the areas in our life that basically got us moving into a point where we got all the longer life that we have now, the small things that pretty much pushed us forward, just literally by decades, like adding extra decades to our lives, right? Just the big changes that happened between just in the early 19th century, you know? Like, there's so much that we changed. Like, when I think of antibiotics just making a big change, you know, penicillin, like all these huge changes that were able to help raise us to the point where a lot of things that people are quite frankly still failing from, but people even living longer in, is heart disease, and being able to operate, to be able to put a stent into someone's heart and be able to push forward. Like, but the question that's in my mind, because I think of the people who are older, and I think this question is coming from my looking at senior citizens who were in like senior homes and everything during COVID, right? The issue with I say that there's no problem with getting older. The issue is getting old. So when I think of the question that I asked, like, are the elderly living too long? It's a question of quality of life versus quantity of years, because there are other factors that also come into place with living a very long time. I think the Guinness record that I saw was like the oldest person, I think they're still alive, by the way, is like 115 years. So we're moving into it. there was definitely a time where we couldn't see that the average life expectancy was sitting somewhere in their 70s, 70s and 80s. But they got, like I said, you got a person that's going 115 years. I can't imagine what the state of their body is like. And then of course all the other factors that you have to deal into. Your organs are going into different stuff, and we do have new medicine, things like that, things that are kicking in. But there are so many other factors of things that people need to consider just getting to a point of that elderly status. Your body is not the same way. Obviously you being in your 60s is not quite the same way as you being damn near 90. And that's why I'm wondering that when I say this thing about the quality of life, what we consider to be normal when we're basically scrambling to extend the normal lifespan. Extending your years is nice and all, but until we're able to really figure out a way to extend the quality of life, what do we do about that? How do we look at that as people who are getting older into our senior years? Because while we're expanding longevity, right, I think about the other things. You're still at risk for all other areas of your life. Your bones are more brittle. You probably can't really stand or sit for doing all this different stuff, bending down to get something. If something drops, it becomes a big thing. You're more in a position to actually deal with assisted living. We're not even going to talk about the other things that kick in, like I said, heart disease. You're going to have to deal with chronic illnesses. Diabetes is the big one that I noticed when it comes to a lot of elderly people. Arthritis, Alzheimer's, like that's a big thing. How do we work so hard, and I'm pretty sure there's more strides to have people push the boundaries into more quantity of the years. But what do we do to be able to build a better quality of life so that someone getting into their 80s doesn't have to worry about that being such a harsh transition, when people are still now are getting into their ages where they're actually getting into triple digits? How exactly do we do that? What exactly does that, I want you to think about it for yourself. What does that look like for you if you're able to make it that far? How exactly are we going to be set up? Because quite frankly, things like Social Security, things that for like working in our working years to try to move up, to try to save up for how we're going to move over, we're living longer and longer than we ever expected. And quite frankly, your savings, Social Security, it didn't really count for all that. It counted for some time until you were able to shift off, but people are living longer. So if you were in a position where you know that, quite frankly, you now have to figure out how you're going to prepare for yourself because you're living longer, or unless you've actually thought of a way to actually transition yourself out, we're not going to get into that. What exactly does the quality of life look like to you? Because again, unless you plan on being in a home, or where you're grouped up with other people, and I noticed that there are a lot of older people that they don't want to do that. They want to be in their own home, or they want to be around family, or things like that. How exactly do you look at that when it comes to your particular life, your particular future? And keep in mind, there are other things that's gonna be at play. Like, you're not going to be able to, say, rely on Social Security. So what do you do about that? Now that I'm asking that kind of question, I'm kind of like just spitballing with you guys right now. What exactly does healthcare look like going forward in the future for people who are becoming elderly? Because the way how I look at it, at least over 40% of government spending is now going to have to go into healthcare for the elderly. You said the oldest person, 117. I wonder what her current conditions are. Because even if you manage to, you manage to stave off, say you manage to get past one of these other factors that I already mentioned, that you have to worry about all the others. So let's just say you fought off heart disease, which is great because that's a lot of things that that's a very debilitating factor that reaches to a lot of elderly people. You still have all the other things that come into play that tries to tap you down. You said you don't think people are living too long, so you think adults are adulting too late? Adulting too late. I don't know. Because even if you're a person who, let's just say you matured, you matured quickly, people are still living longer, no matter how you look at it. Now, I will say that people are not at people are definitely, with their extending their years, are not behaving as mature as they should. I will give you that much. But when I consider the idea of people living into, like, just say their 80s, right, the 80s and 90s, I also think about the people who way back then, before we started extending our life, before we started having successful surgeries, before we started getting to modern medicine, before we were able to start. One of the things that helped extend our lifespan was chlorine, like actually cleaning out water from like with chlorine, so that we wouldn't end up with like freaking typhoid, cholera, shit like that. So when I think about it, it's like I think about the people in the past who the average lifespan was capping off in their 30s and their 40s, and if they were lucky, if they were fortunate, that elderly status, which, to be honest, you were still moving around, you had that old man strength, that old woman strength, that grandma strength in your 50s, but you really didn't get people moving well past that. So now they're living well into their quote centuries. I guess the question that pops into everything I'm thinking about is there such a thing as living too long if you really can't have the body to keep up with the years? Is there such a thing as just living too long? Because again, if we can't extend quality, how do we figure out that balance with the quantity? Yes, that's true, but I don't think there are people that's just sitting there that wanting to work at Mickey D's. I mean, let's be honest. The whole big Mickey D's thing came out because, quite frankly, we were running into a problem with jobs because we were going through a recession. That's when the whole Mickey D's thing started popping up. We weren't really hearing about people jumping into a Mickey D's or fast food before then. We weren't. Until we hit a recession that basically things started popping up to be that way. I'm pretty sure people took jobs that were very much unconventional, that weren't looked at as working as adult jobs, even in the 20s. So it's something that just changed with the times. And again, as much as people start talking about that, there's a whole bunch of jobs out there. There are ghost jobs people are not hiring. And then, of course, you have people that have different industries that, quite frankly, either they feel like they're not fit for, or maybe they have other things that are tying them down. Not everybody can just feel free to travel, Some people have other obligations or even disabilities. Again, it's subjective. I cannot say that's the masses. And it depends on what you mean by adults, because you're talking about from 18 on, when most people are still pushed to talk about go to formal education, post education, which is not really turning out. Times change, which means the thought process of people also change with time. Not everybody was pushing to go to university. Not everybody, there was a time where it was much easier to get housing, to buy your first home, and that is pretty much a shot in the dark now. Like, times change with everything, but it still doesn't go into the fact that people are living longer. But the quality of life has changed. even for the people who now have to become adults later on, the quality of life has changed. Even so, when Gen X becomes in their elderly years, right? Like, the quality of life has still, it's pushing up, but the quality of life is not matching the quantity of years. And the question is, what do you plan on doing with that time? What do people plan to do with that time? Because things will change. Things will change. Things will change for people who are like millennials and even Gen Z when like there's no Social Security. What's the plan? Do we make a new change as to what people should be looking at in terms of healthcare, and what exactly would that look like? Because they've been trying to get rid of Social Security for years. I remember hearing from like teachers, well, but when like, oh, well, my generation is gonna be one of the last few generations to actually enjoy Social Security, and it never dawned on me way back when I was in high school what they were talking about. And here I am at 42, thinking like, that's the son of a bitch, man, who was a boomer. What's the plan for people moving into it, knowing that the future will be vastly different? Because quite frankly, the same way how we have grown up and we have been the trendsetters, that also means that we're the first to now start experiencing different shit happening that other people will be able to benefit off of, as we're the ones who are basically the crash test dummies. So what's the plan for that? And again, we don't have to have the answers now. This is not a shifting blame thing. It's a thought exercise. What do you think are some of the things that we should consider? Because the things that we already thought that would be there for us have already proven that, well, not proven, but it's highly likely won't be there when it's our turn. Hate to put it as doom and gloom, but we can see it. We can't just pretend like it's not a thing. We can't pretend like it's not gonna happen. We can't pretend like this is not a strong possibility. Because the boomers are leaving. And they're taking a lot with them. Unless there's somehow a shift when the boomers leave and X and millennials are moving up into it, and somehow the market for from employment changes. But even if the market for employment changes, this is the whole point that I just talked about earlier. We don't have the bodies to be in a workforce that will be able to pay for the elderly. Because for a lot of young people tend to believe that they're paying into a system that they're going to be cashing out later. And for some reason, because we already failed people when it comes to economics, have not taught them how Social Security actually works. And we will end up being the crash test dummies of people who will not have young people being able to pay for us. So, as a thought exercise to you guys, what will be the plan? Again, no need to come up with the answers, but it's a thought exercise and something to think about for yourself. Because I imagine that a lot of us are somewhere in that range. I look at my analytics and it seems like a lot of us are, we're pretty much ranging at the age between 25 pretty much to 65 plus. That's what my analytics show. The people that I'm reaching the very least are 18 to 24. So a lot of you guys have a little bit of time to think about it, but also it also gives you very time to think about your political systems and what exactly should be in place and the people that you should be voting for so that you can get effective change for your future. At this point, how much do you want to focus on the people who are coming up later versus the fact that there's no plan for you? Do you really want to focus on those who are pretty much already shown to pretty much given up on the future, when quite frankly you're also at risk for your future? It's just something to think about, because I know I'm thinking about it. And I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to pretty much leave you with that doom and gloom, leave you with that little bit of thought. Yep, I'm going to drown it on you just like that. And just like that, we're going to go about our way to try to end the show. Absolutely. Anyway, guys, that's going to be my question for you guys. I'm going to leave that for you. Anyway, I think OG might be doing a show today, so be on the lookout for that. OG likes to have his show. I don't know if they're going to be looking at a movie later on. They might do so. I want to thank you all for actually showing up here on the channel. You know I appreciate you guys every time you come here, but that will be the end of our show. I'm going to give you back the rest of your day. I don't know. Go drink some water. Go and just enjoy what left of the sunlight you have. Go touch some grass. Kiss your wife and kids. Lord knows. And convince them to actually repopulate the earth when it's their time. I'm just saying. It might be something to consider. I appreciate you guys for all that you do. I'm so happy that you guys will actually be here and address it. I'm going to go ahead and just start doing my regular CTAs. So, of course, I'm always going to be on different mediums such as X, Twitter. You can always catch me here on YouTube. Also, at Resla Opinionated going on Instagram. I don't know why I can't think right now. And of course, if you ever have topics, tips, or things like that you want to reach out for me on, Resla Opinionated, gmail.com, of course. And if it's too much for you to write, just it's in the description box down below. You know I don't really like to ask, but if you ever want to do anything to actually help the creator, that's me, by the way. Just be able to put up more for the show, to invest in different things that are going on. I've been painting and doing some other things going on. I'm always working on something behind the scenes, but you can do that at my Cash App, which is of course the $ Resla Opinionated. And of course, I don't like Cash App. Well, I got PayPal as well, and that's at Resla2. If you feel inclined. Outside of that, guys, do me a favor, of course, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, and like the video if you haven't already. You know I'm going to be dropping this content for a lot of you guys. And of course, you know I drop shorts throughout the week. Of course, you know I do this, of course, on Monday. So wow, I'm about to say Monday. I just about to lie. I'm about to lie. But I do this on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 4 p.m. I love you guys. I appreciate you for all you do, of course. You could have gone anywhere, guys. You could have looked at so many different shows, so many other places in production, but you decided to come here. And you have my sincerest gratitude. And until then, you guys stay opinionated.